This podcast episode may contain explicit material. Listener-viewer discretion is advised. The intention is not to offend, but to provide information. Proceed only if you are comfortable with potentially sensitive content.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. I'm Jason Ard. We started this podcast to educate everyone on the role of the Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office. We're about serving and protecting our community. On this podcast, we will tackle lots of topics. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're going to be continuing the episode on paying tribute to Corporal Shawn Kelly, and I actually have Miss Emily Stovall in the studio with me, one of our Livingston Parish Sheriff's Office dispatchers, and that's her voice you heard, doing a fantastic job under a very stressful circumstance, something that none of us ever want to have to go through, but you handle it. I mean, I'll let the listeners be the judge of that, but in my point of view, 32 years and dealing with a lot of dispatchers, you did an excellent job in doing what you had to do to get people in the right places at the right time. That's a lot to carry,
Thank you.
So you did a great job. So, Emily, I have you in the studio today to kind of take us through that day. And before we get started, I wanted to kind of introduce who you are. How long have you been with us?
Almost 9 years.
Almost 9 years.
August will make 9 years here.
9 years. And where was you doing before that?
I worked for the district attorney's office.
Okay. And how many years?
Four and a half.
Years? Okay.
Yes, sir.
So been in public service
A little while.
a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that day, typical day, now this is toward the end of the shift, you worked that day, right?
Yes, sir. All day.
So you wasn't just coming on. So it was all day, a little after 4 o'clock when the first call first came in. And if you could kind of walk us through that day in a way of letting our listeners kind of what's going through your mind and just kind of walk us through it.
Yes, sir. Well, what a lot of people don't know is our agency actually we dispatch and call take. So your call taker can also be the person that's dispatching the call, which happened in this incident. I was, I believe, the first call taker to get the call in reference to the disturbance in the Petco parking lot. So from there, the Denham PD dispatcher, Sergeant Guillory, she dispatched it out to an officer to have them respond. I believe the initial officer was tied up on a call close by. So Corporal Kelly actually jumped the call, as we say, and him and his trainee went to the call. Just typical road rage incident call. From my perspective, it was dispatched out. It was on a completely different radio. I didn't really have much to do with it until I heard the Denham dispatcher say initially shots fired. So I quickly aired the information over LPSO TAC 1 radio and started getting units headed that way. Incidents like that, we were trained to know that everyone is responding.
Right.
From there, the Denham dispatcher said that there was an officer hit. So my first thought was, I need to get this information out as quickly as possible, as clear as possible, and get everyone that I can en route to them. So we do not dispatch individual units to calls like that. We just air it. So we know everyone is going to go. Everyone's going to help where they need to help. So I aired the call over the radio, and my thoughts was, get this out clear. Do not stumble on your words. They need to hear what's going on. They need to know exactly where they need to go. I do specifically remember one unit saying, where are we going? And I keyed up to him, Petco parking lot, officer down as quickly as possible, because I didn't want any units to be going on scene and my traffic covering their traffic.
Yeah.
So from there, we aired the call. All units started going en route. And that's when I had units coming from Walker. I had units coming from Watson. Everyone was pulling themselves up to go and try to help.
Yeah, one of the things that people don't really have a true appreciation for when it comes to dispatching. When you say keying up on each other's traffic, it does happen, especially in a incident as large as this with multiple agencies that can be keying up at the same time. What did you say? Can you repeat that traffic?
Yes.
And it can be difficult, and you're trying to again, gather information and put that information out as clear as possible. I actually remember how it wasn't a lot of people walking on each other that day.
No, it was
It
very
was
clear.
very clear. Like when Dakota Naquin, who was previously on the show, he was so clear when he came over, shots fired.
He was.
Like he was, on point with it, but like nobody was, walking. There was no like traffic. Everybody was so quiet. People were doing what they were supposed to be doing. Now, I'm sure it wasn't quiet on your end. It was just me sitting in my vehicle, what y'all were doing on your end is completely different, taking all the information in. But I do want to not forget about this. As you're in there as a dispatcher and you get the initial call, if you remember when I started in a previous show, I kind of started out, the very first call we had on this suspect was at 3:45 p.m., and he had followed a young lady to her residence. Did that come through our office or did that go to Denham Springs?
Well, we actually call take for Denham Springs as well.
Right.
Their lines come straight to us, so it came through ours.
And was you privileged to that information?
No, I did not know that information.
I didn't think you was. That's why I'm
sir.
asking. And then the second incident was at 4:03 p.m. in a city where our suspect was in his gold Jeep, and he was at the Sports Clip place.
Yes,
Was you
sir.
privileged to that information?
I knew about the call.
When I say privileged, like you kind of knew it was going on, but you
Right.
wasn't the one dispatching that or receiving that information.
Correct. Denham PD's radio and our radio and LPSO's radio is separate. So I knew, but we all have the same computer-aided dispatch. So I knew of the call. And just as the one at Petco, we knew of the call, but at the time we had two separate calls about disturbances in parking lots, but did not know that the incidents were related until after the suspect had already fled the scene at Petco.
And it is so difficult because I remember when it first went out, it was a disturbance, possibly a domestic disturbance because it was a guy and a lady in a parking lot fighting. And it was not a domestic disturbance. It was a disturbance though.
Correct.
And you can see that kind of unfold, but that's how sometimes y'all put out the information clearly, but sometimes it just gets confused.
Correct, especially when you have multiple callers giving you multiple
information, right?
Different stories.
And look, you can't turn down a tip. So Naquin and I, when we were talking, one of the things that I clearly remember is he's headed northbound on range. Someone put it out there. They also put out, I remember a white pickup truck.
Yes, sir.
And there was a white pickup truck, if you watch the video, gets hit. His back window gets shot out by during the shootout in Petco parking lot. And I think he may have fled the scene, rightfully so.
Correct.
Because his vehicle gets shot. So that can be confusing where people are just trying to help. And the reason I'm saying all this is y'all have to kind of put that together too in a dispatch room.
Yes, sir.
And you can't not put that out. But now I'm looking for a gold Jeep. I'm looking for a white pickup truck. Something headed northbound when in reality is not northbound. But so I think that's how the vehicles got confused. Which everything was stopped, but it's really difficult sitting in your seat. It's not an easy task. And I have been in some very close call incidents, high energy, I call them incident, tunnel vision incidents, and having a very strong dispatcher will get you out of it. And I commend y'all for doing what you do. And you was, like I told Naquin, he was meant to be on that call. You were meant to be on the radio.
Yes, sir.
There's no doubt. So as this thing unfolds, you are dispatching, I think, so Naquin becomes the guy I think he pulls in the parking lot of Petco.
Yes, sir.
Kind of walk me through that process after that happens.
Well, as soon as we got the information and all the units started getting en route, I initially just tunneled in on the other Denham dispatcher. All my information was in reference to that scene. Everything I needed was from her. So from there, we aired the suspect vehicle description first incorrectly. We quickly corrected it and had units en route. I believe the response time was probably the best response time I've ever seen, or in my case, heard. I would say just in a matter of minutes, we had units that were at Petco. Several units actually left calls that they were on, less priority calls, to go and help.
Right.
from there, we had the Deputy Naquin. He was he said that he was going to be en route from Walker. Several units were asking for vehicle descriptions. So I want to say I aired the vehicle description probably about 7 or 8 times total throughout the whole call. We had an off-duty unit that was coming from, well, he was leaving a detail, actually. So from there, we had Deputy Naquin keyed up and said that he was going to be en route to the suspect's address, the one that was listed in Watson on the vehicle, where the vehicle registry. Denham PD actually requested any available unit to be en route to that address. I remember airing the address and quickly trying to look it up on the map so that they didn't have to, and telling them exactly where to go. It was several minutes later, Deputy Naquin, it's funny because we talked about the units walking on each other, and it was just seconds after a unit asked for the vehicle description. I remember keying up and giving the description over the air, and Deputy Naquin keyed up just so quickly, but so clear. And he said his exact location, shots fired, and that was it.
Oh, it wasn't even questions of where he was at or anything.
No.
It was I remember it being very clear, and that's one of the things that happens a lot. That, what did he say? Where was he at? Livingston, give us that traffic again.
Yes.
Give us the traffic, and it becomes a traffic jam on the radio, and it didn't this day at all.
No, sir, not at all. It was silence, and I actually fussed at him afterwards because I was like, you didn't say anything for several minutes. I didn't hear you say anything. But in reality, which it kind of goes back to the situation where time just kind of stands still, especially in moments like that. And it's somebody that like we work together. Our whole agency is like a family. Yeah. So you're essentially sitting there waiting, listening for someone that you see as a loved one to just make sure they're okay. And it was 19 seconds from the time that he said shots fired to suspect down, and it felt like minutes.
Yes.
And it was several minutes until another unit got to him as well. So there was several minutes in between that I don't know where the suspect's at. I don't know where he's approaching from, and there's no one else there to give me information. It was about 3 or 4 minutes before another unit got on scene and started.
Yeah, it was about 3 or 4 minutes before anybody else got there. But you're not truly a dispatcher. You're not truly a what I call a road deputy, patrol officer, until you have a dispatcher to you out for not getting back with them, right?
That is correct.
Because you don't know what's going on the other side of the microphone, and you have a sense of worry. That's what y'all are doing, and so trust me, I've had my ear chewed out a few times by dispatchers when I was on patrol, because you care and you're trying to make sure that they stay safe. That's your job, is to give them the information to keep them safe. That's your hopes. Yes, and to be aware of all the things that they know. And I've said this before. I don't know if I said it earlier with you or in a previous interview, but y'all set the tone for how we approach any type of call we go to. If you key up and you're in your tone is that of such you're disturbed by a call you just got, it's going to put me in a certain mode, right?
Right.
It may cause me to go faster. It may not cause me to go so fast. And look, it's suspect's got a gun. Well, when we get there, the suspect had a gun in his closet.
Right.
2 different things, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's the pressure you have is when these people call, well, he has a gun. Well, where's the gun at? And well, I don't know. Okay, well, don't even mention if you don't know. Well, did he have it on him earlier? Right. So it's a process you have to go through to get that information. So I commend you guys for that. That's a tough job.
Thank
and
you.
Again, kudos. That's one of the best dispatching things I've ever seen. I'm very proud of y'all for what y'all was able to accomplish that day with such a mass that could have been mass confusion. Very confused about everything, but it came together. So as Naquin calls in, shots fired, the process then kind of kicks into another level.
Correct. From there, we're trying to get medical en route. in general, just we don't know who's hit. So we're trying to get medical through. And like you said in a previous episode, we have 2 major crime scenes at this point. So we're getting all medical to Petco parking lot, but we're also having to get them to the intersection or near the intersection of South Range and Florida around the ServPro parking lot. I believe from there we were Denham traffic, like y'all said previously, is heavy in the evenings. So we actually had to get units to clear South Range to get Acadian in to the suspect. And I remember several times, we were calling Acadian several times to get ETAs to find out where they were coming from or how long they were going to be. And we had just several units on scene that were with the suspect, but we had also units transporting from Petco as well.
Yeah.
So it's really not just, and there's multiple scenes out there, but there's also in on the dispatch floor, because we have several radios working at this point. We have multiple fire agencies assisting. We have multiple law enforcement agencies assisting. And like you said earlier, it can become a traffic jam. You have several people, and we're having to relay all this information across the room to each other. I will say in the 8 years that I've been here, I have never seen a more, for lack of a better word, beautiful scene in dispatch. Everyone played their part. Everybody worked well together. They had some trainees there as well that they were just, where do we need to help? Like people that weren't even on radios, that were going just to answer phone calls from the public, because at this point we have several people calling, asking what's going on. So everybody played their part.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. While you're doing all this, you have those that just want to call, and just because they want to know what's going on, and you're really trying to get something done.
Correct.
But you always do take the time to say, well, this is what's going on. Can't really talk right now, but you're still going to give them the information, and they don't really understand what's going on up there and how busy you are.
Right.
The scenes got pretty big.
They did.
And look, let's remind everybody, this was a Friday afternoon, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it was, I think it was a Friday.
I believe so. Either a Thursday or a Friday.
Thursday, Friday, and it was 4:30
Yes, sir.
in the afternoon, Denham Springs, 190 South Range, very busy, very heavy traffic, and we pretty much shut it down.
Yes, sir.
So you have Baton Rouge traffic was affected, Walker traffic's affected after, a period of time. It was in the heart of a very busy time of the day.
Yes, sir, it was.
With traffic. So it was probably and I remember it being difficult for Acadian trying to get to us.
Yes, it was.
They couldn't get to where we needed them to be. And of course, they're over there trying to get to an officer down. Corporal Shawn Kelly's over there. I know they're trying to get ambulance to him as well as the suspect. It was crazy.
It was.
It was a crazy, crazy scene. And so, Emily, as things unfold, we got everybody on scene. And I don't even know this to be true, but I'm just going from my experience I call my dispatchers back in the day. Did you finally be able to actually talk to Naquin on the phone?
No, actually, I did not get to talk to him. I didn't talk to him. That was another thing I fussed at him about. I said I just needed to know that he was okay. Mm-hmm. But no, we didn't. And a lot of times we don't, and we just have to be okay with that. But I specifically remember getting relief that evening and telling him, I don't want to leave yet. Like, this is, because this is not just, as a dispatcher, that's our crime scene too. It's not just the deputies. It's not just, the investigators. It's our crime scene too. Until we know that there's some finality to it, we're there. And I remember several times them saying, okay, we can take your radio. And I was like, no, I'm here. I'm here until I know everything's okay. And finally, I think it was a little after 6, a little after shift change, that I was like, okay, I have to leave. I have to make, everything is fine. Everybody's talking. But right after Deputy Naquin said shots fired, he only keyed up on the radio a couple times after that. So I didn't hear from him.
Right.
And we care. And that is definitely something that will stick with you. And you have to know that they're out there to do their job. Mm-hmm. And no matter where we send them, they're going to go. And a call like that, a big event like that, that's something I definitely would say I struggled with, because I sent him to that. And if something was to happen to him,
right,
I felt in some way that's on me. But it was something I definitely struggled with because the person he is, the deputy he is, he's going to go. He's going to help, and he always has. But that is truly something that is difficult. In dispatch, we don't get any conclusion to a call. So that's something we have to be okay with.
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that I know that can be difficult for a dispatcher is that aftermath of not being able to physically see what's going on. You almost have to imagine what's going on, and you know where everything's at. And look, there's a lot of dispatchers that haven't been to a lot of parts of the parish.
This is true.
So they have no clue
true.
where you're at. I mean, this incident is one of those areas where most of everyone kind of knows that area.
Right.
If they've been through Denham Springs, in the heart of it. But there's so many incidents that happen that you don't know what his terrain is. Like, is he in a wooded area? Is he? Like, you don't really know.
Yes, sir.
And,
we don't know
so
at this point.
To have that piece afterwards is big. And I know one of the things, and you had said earlier, I mean, things bother you afterwards. I mean, you go through what I call, did I do everything right? Could I have been faster on this? Could I have been, more clear on that? If you don't mind kind of talking to the people about that part of dispatching, because I know that is something that bothers our dispatchers in a way that it's not that they do anything wrong, but you second guess yourself sometimes.
Yes, sir. Naturally.
Yeah.
It was very difficult for me after the facts because I didn't know how I sound. It was one of those things that everything just happened in the moment, and we are trained as how you perceive the call is how they perceive it. Mm-hmm. So if we start giving information out quickly and panicked, then they automatically start getting frazzled and panicked. So once the initial shots fired, an officer down came through on Denham PD's radio, I just remember taking a breath and saying, I have to say this as calm as possible.
Right.
And I know y'all had mentioned that I was very calm earlier. I did not feel calm whatsoever, but I just gave the information as quickly and calmly as I possibly could. And I actually did second guess that. It was one of the things that I was told afterwards was by Deputy Naquin was you were so clear. I had to turn down my radio and to hear, did you really say that? But then I second guessed that. Did I not come across panicked enough? Mm-hmm. Did I not make them understand this is a high priority event that they're responding to? So it was definitely something that once, after I picked it apart, I answered the initial 911 call. Did I get enough information? Or the initial 911 call at Petco. Did I get enough information? Did I air the information that needed to be aired quickly enough? Did I stumble on my words? Anything? I questioned it for a long time. It took me a lot to get past it. Yeah. It took several conversations with several people, Deputy Naquin included, that I was able to sit down and speak with and hear, you did everything you could. Because those things make us question, if we didn't do everything we could, is there a reason that the events came out the way that they did, happened the way that they did?
Did you happen to listen to it yourself?
I did, actually. Not long ago. It was around the 2-year anniversary of everything.
Yeah, but you hadn't listened to it before then?
No, sir.
Ain't that crazy how you could have just went back and listened to it for yourself?
Yes.
But there's a part of you that don't really want to do that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's who we are. We can't help it. Sometimes we just don't.
Yes.
And it is something that you have to process, and it's everybody processes differently. And it's just one of them things that again, it's who we are and what we have to deal with.
Right.
Well, look, I just want to tell you that you did a fantastic job. I know I've said that before, and I don't care if people are listening or tired of hearing me say that, but it's true. Y'all did a fantastic job on this thing, and I couldn't have picked a better dispatcher, or let's just put it like I couldn't have picked a better dispatcher to be on call that day, because you were where you needed to be. Naquin was where he needed to be. Y'all made a great team, and we were able to stop a lot of things from happening that I believe, without a doubt, would have continued to happen. And so with that, Emily, thank you for coming on the show. I know it took a little bit. I had to almost forced you to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, look, and all that you dispatchers do, y'all are the lifeline for us. Don't think for a moment that you're not appreciated. I know some of them guys can get spoiled. It's probably because y'all spoil them.
A little bit.
And that just happens. So y'all keep doing what you're doing, and y'all doing a great job. And look, if anybody out there, if you're enjoying the podcast, remember to follow us on YouTube or whatever listening platform you may be using. Doing this is completely free and a great way to be alerted as new episodes drop. So with that, that'll be all for Behind the Scenes with Sheriff Jason Ard. We appreciate you listening. Download our LPSO app. Follow us on social media. Like, share, do all those great things. And always in Livingston Parish, we love our schools, we love our churches, and we absolutely believe in the Second Amendment. God bless you and be safe.